about that and see what you think about
I
it.
got mixed emotions.
Yeah. You knew about that, though?
Yeah. I don't think PennDOT gives us
From Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
It's Councilman Kaz Kwiatkowski and my good friend.
John Steiner?
And we'll remind you the rules. The rules are any subject is fair game. Just keep it in the bounds of good taste. And remember, this is your show. It's commercial free. You get 1 hour, no sports, no weather interrupting you. How's that?
Unless you talk about the Indians or the Browns, right? Then you can talk. Those are your favorite teams.
We really shouldn't, but we can talk about the Bayhawks or something like that.
The
right?
Bayhawks or the Otters.
Hey, anything like that, probably.
Otters are doing well. I think they've won like 10 in a row. Playoffs are coming up, so I think they raised the ticket prices for that.
Well, they usually always do.
For the playoffs?
Yeah. In most cases, little known secret that like in the big time pro sports,
Yeah.
what will happen is the league takes over.
Right.
Like when you go, the Indians make everybody think, oh boy, then one American League takes over. Ticket prices go up, they get a big cut of the money.
Right.
And I don't know how our leagues are with the OHL and the NBA D League, whether they do the same thing.
Right.
But usually the league takes over. That's a money maker for them and the club. It's kind of like a bonus.
I mean, hopefully they'll go a long way this year. I think, we have one of the better teams.
Well, you never know. That's why they play the games,
We have the best player. I can't remember his name. Connor McDavid, I think is his name.
Soon to be a Sabre.
Soon to be number one overall pick, yeah.
Probably be a Sabre, but like when Gannon used to, they had the playoffs here.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, ticket prices are. You can see people. That's what they're afraid of. Drift.
Right.
Some people say a little too much.
Right. Yeah, but for the price of the Otters, I mean, you can't beat that compared to going to a bigger city and.
Oh, it's all relative, though, John. I used to laugh when I worked the parking ramp. We used to charge initially $1 and $2. I mean, it's going back a ways, but now it's probably $3 or $4.
Right.
Which, you can raise that stick all you want. You can say, look what you pay in Cleveland. Well, you've been there.
Right.
You go to a baseball game now. I think, what did I pay? Last year they weren't even in playoffs. Like now, if you go to a Cavs game,
right.
Or you go to Pittsburgh with the Steelers, as long as they're winning,
right.
Probably the Pirates, they jack theirs up too.
Right.
So you're paying $12, $15 a park.
Well, the
maybe more
over here at the parking ramp, but over here the new ramp over here. What do they charge up there?
Which one? You mean your insurance ramp?
Insurance ramp.
Your
insurance ramp.
I bet you they're probably about equal with what the parking authorities charge.
I think they charge like $5 for a hockey game.
But people
They get so much out of that too, don't
Probably.
they?
People in Erie will complain about that. They don't care what you pay in Chicago. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Kaz, have you heard anything about the cable bills going up a lot?
No, they don't warn us, to tell you the truth. Why is there another?
My bill just went up about $25, and I didn't change anything.
25.
Yeah,
When did it go?
It's crazy.
When did yours go up?
When?
Yeah.
I just opened. The reason why I'm calling is I just opened the bill up, and I said, "Holy cow!"
Mine will be coming. I know they talk about periodic adjustments, but $25.
I thought I got something in the mail, and it was one of those things I probably threw in the circular file. And but I think it talked about some rate increases coming for almost everything they do for you.
That's quite a bit, though.
Yeah, but it sure seemed like a lot. I might have to.
$25 is. Are you bundled or is that just cable?
That's just cable. That's just cable. I might have to.
Not bundled.
No,
man.
nothing's with it. Just cable, and I don't have anything fancy. I don't have any HBO or anything, or sports channels or nothing.
No, I admit the only thing I got above and beyond the norm was I got the sports tier.
Yeah.
I like a couple of the things. I like English soccer and.
Kez, I was almost as surprised about my cable bill as I was about that bond with the sewer, and you don't know whether it's $6 million or $8 million.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't very, very good for Mr. Lichtenwalter. $2 million difference is what you needed to straighten out your budget this year, and they don't know if it's going to be $6 or $8 million. million. That's crazy.
You know, I love Pat Howard's column. I thought it was pretty fair.
I thought it was, yeah.
I thought it was a well-written column, and I think he lays our problems on the line. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's making excuses. I mean, you just need to look around the city, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about.
No, but Kaz, the biggest problem we have, and it's not going to go away, is 60% of the people are paying to operate 100% of the city. And until that changes, we're stuck with what we got.
I don't want to tell you who I talked to yesterday, because it's, when we're ready. I talked to one of the legislators last time. We had a long talk.
Yeah.
For about a half an hour.
Yeah.
And, he wants to fight this. The trouble we get is, we're outnumbered. The cities, all the cities in Pennsylvania, including Philly and Pittsburgh, are outnumbered by the suburban and rural areas. And until they change you're right. When you look at our problem is revenue. I remember the late Ron Komorek, who was our finance director.
Right.
He said one day, if we do everything right, which we are doing, we're still going to be in trouble. And what he meant by that was, if we don't stretch out this sewer bond, it comes down to we're going to have a little bit more every year. So they're hoping they're smoothing it just like you do with balance billing, but yes, it comes at a cost. For 5 years, we're going to be paying $6 or $8 more million. Then the other problem is, we don't have money for roads. We know that.
Why was all this money from the state for the highways?
We use that.
And I mean, 12 years ago they raised everything. Now they raise it again. Where's all this revenue going?
Well, Ron, the revenue goes not only to roads, but many years ago, and nobody's changed it. A previous mayor decided, and it's permissible, to use that to pay off the electric bills on the roads, okay? The street lighting. So, one way or the other, if those bills ain't going away. So it just depends how you look at them. Do you want to use the money for this, or do you want to use the money for that? Okay, and that was a conscious me. You ready for a controversial statement? I'm not against. Like I said it. Am I holding you up, Mr.?
No. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I'm not. I said back there in caucus, and it's open to the public. It doesn't matter what we do. It's coming out of the same pair of pants.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
We're going to have to pay for those roads one way or the other, and it comes out of, I don't care if it's 15 years from now with a bond issue or it's today with a tax increase, it's coming out of the same pair of pants, okay?
Yep.
And I would much rather see us, if the public understands it, you put it up to them, ask them, would you rather have a tax increase or a bond issue?
Right now we have like utopia for borrowing money because the interest rates are so low.
Right, and they want to refinance and
Refinance. Let's say in 6 years when your balloon payments come due and your sole intention is to refinance them again, but now let's say the interest rate is 6 or 8%.
Well, that's what happens with that's why I've never been an advocate of the kick-the-can approach.
Oh, yeah, and that could happen real easy, Cass, because these artificially low rates that we're enjoying might not be around when that balloon payment comes due.
Well, you got to remember, as long as they're low, people aren't getting much interest in the bank either,
That's right, yeah.
It's a cause and effect that, your home, right now your mortgages are low.
The one thing that we have, the only thing, the county, they could really care less about the city.
Well, yeah, because somebody's doing good there.
Yeah.
And somebody's doing bad.
What happens is, you have Erie Insurance, you have Hammett, you have Gannon, you have all these high-paying jobs, okay? People drive into the city, drive onto our roads, and then when they get out of work, they drive back to the suburbs.
With their buying power?
Correct.
They have taxes?
Absolutely. And right now, the water and sewer is the only thing that the city has that everybody needs where we can generate some revenue for the city itself. I totally agree that we should have did the bond. You guys raised taxes how much? Was it 7% or something along that line? I mean, there has to be some way for the city to start reaching out into the county because, the county, they have what, a $30 million surplus in their budget? I mean, the other entities in the government, they have money. Everybody wants the city, this is where we have all the services. This is where we have the the crime. Everybody wants to keep everything in the city. They don't want it stretching out into the county, but they're not willing to help out in any ways because they all have their own fiefdom.
Yeah, no, you're right, John, absolutely.
And I can't wait for the Destination Erie plan to come out. Because when I was involved with the Perry 200, I was working with a lot of the elected officials throughout the county.
Yeah.
They are going to be working against us.
Yeah.
Unless it benefits them, they don't care.
Yeah, you're right.
And, the newspaper kind of, they're pushing for, the regionalism and this and that, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's not the city. It's the county people that want nothing to do with what we're doing here.
Well, we get nothing out of most towns got something out of the casinos.
Yeah.
The way the law was written, the weird geography that exists in Erie County,
right.
We don't touch Summit County, so we don't get nothing.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they when they put that in, didn't they give you a tax abatement for that, $200 or $300 off your taxes when they first came?
Yeah, but look at the bigger
What happened
picture.
to it?
Look at the big picture, though.
Well, see, what they do is they pay for the zoo, they pay for all these other entities, and that's supposed to give everybody a tax break. And there's, but that's not how it works.
Yes, I'm going to cut you loose, let some other people call, but today should be a good day for conversation, I think.
I hope so.
All right.
Call back if nobody else does.
Nobody wants to take out a bond and pay the interest in the long run, but the sewer is the only, and water, the only things that we have as leverage over the county, and we better maximize it because that's it. Yeah. Other than that, we have nothing else.
No, water we gave away.
Yeah.
Basically,
she sold the only asset we had in the city.
Most
were so lousy at that time.
Most communities have sold their water department at a cost. I love Pat Howard's comment. He said, he's not letting us off the hook. He's saying, we're taking the best of the dirty stick. Mm-hmm. And when you look at, he said, look around the city. People of wealth, the wealth has left the city,
right,
and so has the population.
Oh, that's what Pat Howard was saying. I didn't even read that.
Read it towards the end. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, who's this?
Hello, how you been?
Huh?
Pardon?
I'm trying to get the city.
Well, you got Taxpayers Hotline. You're on TV.
All right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, when I see, I didn't even see Pat Howard's column, but I mean that's true. I mean everybody wants to come here, and they complain about the roads. But what's the busiest road at 4:30? The road heading to I-79, the Bayfront, heading out of town, or 12th Street heading west, or out to Harbor Creek, and they don't want to do anything to help pay for some of the things that they use here, but they want to come here and go to the ballpark. They want to come and go to the to the stadiums.
You take I remember when I did this twice in my life. School board, we asked a question one time: how many of our employees live in the city?
Right.
They didn't want to tell the board. They were embarrassed.
Right.
So we just did zip codes. Some of the directors, we figured it out. It was a terrifying figure. And if you do it around City Hall here, it's the same figure.
Oh, I'm sure they fought that, didn't they?
Go ahead, caller.
Hello,
Yes.
who is this?
Mayor's office.
Don't do that.
You got the wrong number. You have to call the switchboard, I guess. What's the switchboard? 1200?
Is it the Taxpayer Hotline?
Oh,
If you want that, that's us.
Huh?
Yeah, that's us.
Okay.
Anyway, you think about this, okay? Now, I'm just using the city and the school district, but look at the county, look at the hospitals, look at Gannon, Erie Insurance. Most of the people probably don't live in the city.
They don't.
Okay.
Well, who was the mayor that let the cops and the firemen move outside the city?
Many years ago. Go ahead, caller.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on.
Absolutely.
Okay, now, these people pay their back taxes on the sewer and water thing,
Right.
What happens to this money they're paying back?
Well, that money they're paying back that goes into our budget.
Yeah, but they're paying it back. Does that go back in the general fund?
The garbage, that goes into the refuse fund.
Yeah, but I mean,
It doesn't
is that
go-
going to
no.
lower our taxes?
Well, it does. It helps out. It's not in the general. People got to remember, there's more than just a general fund. There's a general fund. There's a sewer fund. There's a refuse fund.
Yeah.
the golf fund, are separate accounts. But if they start paying their bill, yes, that will help us.
Yeah, but don't that help pay us taxes lower when they pay them late taxes?
It'll help from the fact that we won't have to subsidize the losses over at the refuge side, yes.
Well, I just wonder because the paper said, boy, they're paying their taxes, and it looks pretty good. They're paying them late taxes, they said.
Well, when they get the water shut off, that's the hook we have now.
Right.
I hope they kind of remember us, the good customers paying the taxes right on time.
Yeah. What when we don't have revenue coming in, it hurts at every angle. I mean,
For us.
somewhere we got to pay the bills, so, yes, it does help.
Yeah. Who's this speaking?
Who's speaking?
Yeah, who's this speaking?
This is Kaz Kwiatkowski, councilman.
All right, I just want to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you. Call again. So now you take all these people that, got the nice jobs that don't live here anymore.
Right.
Okay, a lot of people don't understand this. Yes, we collect 1%, income tax, but that doesn't stay in the city unless you live here. So that tax gets returned to where you live.
Right.
Then you're taking your real estate taxes, which are out, we don't get anything. Go ahead, caller.
Is Cash there?
That's me.
Huh?
That's me.
Oh, now what happens to these taxes that they're paying up, that they're paying pretty good now, say? What's happening? Does that go back in the general fund?
When you pay back tax.
All that money on these late taxes on the sewer and water?
No, the sewer is a separate fund. It goes to the sewer fund.
Yeah, but I mean, it's back into the late taxes, and they said they're paying them back pretty good now.
Yeah, it goes into the sewer fund, so you're, on that end, from the sewer fund aspect, yes, it helps.
Well, the paper says that they're paying in taxes bad, and they're getting money now on their returns.
And if they're paying their property taxes, that's in the general fund.
Yeah, but is that going to help us? I mean, when they pay them late fees?
Well, it should.
It should?
Yes.
I hope so. Because us guys paying a regular time on time,
Right.
I think we should get something back, too.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, you don't know if they're going to do that or not, huh?
I think they will.
You think you will? But, okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Everybody with the disposable income making six figures, they all live in Mill Creek, Fairview,
Right.
Harbor Creek. They don't live in the city. And then, like I was saying, that's the only source of income that we have is the sewer and water.
Go ahead, caller.
Look, Kent, the first caller might have to renegotiate with Time Warner because he probably had a promotion that expired. That's probably why.
Oh, yeah, that could be the case.
So he should.
Yeah, because that's a pretty, when they jump, they don't usually jump 25.
No, mine
I didn't-
hasn't jumped this month.
I didn't think of that. Maybe that's true. If you start out with them, they warn you that in 1 year's time, or whatever the thing is, it all comes back then.
Yeah, but
If he's listening, maybe,
but they don't give you a warning when it's about to expire. You have to remember when your promotion started.
you could always tell them, you tell them you want another promotion,
That's right. That's what
All they can say is no to you.
You've almost got to argue with them. That's what I had to do.
Well, they do have a little competition in the fact that I can tell you the satellite guys have been around my neighborhood like mad. I mean, they're like a dog with raw meat trying to find somebody. They were going to give me everything in the world almost.
Yeah, we did I moved to satellite.
You did?
Yeah, DirecTV, yeah.
They're still 2 channels shy from me.
It's Fox Sports Ohio is one of them that they don't have. The no Cavs games.
Right?
And
They told me, though, I can get the whole NBA package. I said, I don't want that.
no.
And then they only have the Hallmark channel. My wife loves that.
You and I watch Lifetime together.
Hey, it keeps peace. I get to watch my Cavs game.
That's right. Happy wife, happy life, right?
How about you, sir? You got to keep peace too, right?
No, but
You're a lucky guy.
probably go to if they had Channel 9, but they don't carry the government or
On the dish, you mean?
Yeah,
they don't.
right. No, they don't.
or the
You can always get us on computer, though.
oh,
Oh, you can?
I don't have.
Yeah, you can get us on computer. We're
City of
streamed.
Erie's website.
Thanks to help from Cat TV and our IT department, we are being streamed, so you can,
You can watch it live.
no excuses, right? You can get us if you're sitting there in sunny California or Florida or Las Vegas.
Or sunny State Street. Right?
Yep. Yeah, if you have a computer, try it. It's on the city channel. They stream it. You go to the city website.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking my call.
Oh, anytime.
Good day.
Now, who's going to refinance? We're going to refinance the sewer bill, right?
Yeah.
That would interest.
Pardon?
Who's going to refinance? What's the company that's going to carry the bond?
Bank.
Well, they have to advertise first.
Let's put it out for bid.
Yeah.
They say there's only one guy in the area. They always get.
Well,
no.
it's like anything else, you know, it's like, people yelled at us one time about, why do you buy your cars out of town? Well, you put it out for bid, but a lot of people don't want to handle it.
No.
Like car dealers, they say, it's, you know, we can't beat what the state puts on, you know, because we bid with the state, we bid with, you know, STARS program, all that, and sometimes, like my brother-in-law who's in the business says, we can't afford to give you a car for, you know, we don't sell that kind of volume that we can give you a car for $100 or whatever, you know, the deal is, you know, above cost, like, you know. And it'd be same with bond issues. You know, we can put it out there, certain companies are going to be favored. Go ahead, caller. Hello, go ahead.
My question is do with the streets in the city of Erie.
Yes.
What I'm wondering is anybody on city council checking to see what kind of materials we're putting down on the streets?
Well, they go out to spec, and you know, from what, I mean, I'm not an engineer, and nobody on council is, so we have to go by the fact that they're bid out, they're supposed to be bid out properly, they're done to a spec that's, you know, supposed to be, what do you call it?
The thickness of it.
Supposed to be adequate, not only adequate, but up to grade what's needed for roads. So, you know, we're at the mercy of the engineers. If there's a problem, then, you know, then I guess we have in the past tested certain roads and found out the material was not proper, and we have had them repaved.
West 8th Street, remember 2 years ago or 2
Yeah.
years ago? Well, we're going to try some new stuff.
And is this?
That stuff crumbled.
Say I had to go to the dentist on Upper Peach.
Right.
I went over 38th Street and all the way up Peach, all the way up to almost I-90, and I didn't see one pothole. I turned around and came back on the other side of the street, all the way back down to where the VA hospital, and I didn't see one pothole.
On 38th Street?
Well, 38 coming from Peach Street.
Okay. Heading east, right?
Beach over 38, and what happens is I go below 26th Street, and I got nothing but potholes.
38th Street is a state highway.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but regardless what kind of material they're putting down compared to the stuff we're putting down in the city of Erie.
What street, you mean talking about all the streets in general below 26th?
Have you ever been on East Lake Road or 12th Street?
Oh, yeah, I drive all over town.
They are bad this year.
Yeah, I've been all over town, believe me.
10th Street from actually Wayne Street all the way over to the General Electric? It's a mess.
Yeah, the only thing I tell you, I was there when they opened up bids, and they do specify the type of material to be put down.
Let me ask you a question, Kaz. Is there a warranty on, you know, let's say if we have a street paved and
Yeah.
it crumbles within a certain amount of time or it starts developing holes, do we have a warranty as far as?
It's probably very limited.
Yeah, I think if we pay for a street, we should have a certain amount of years as a warranty. I mean, as part of the contracts that we hand out. I mean, that would save money and keep them a little more responsible for the type of work that they do.
Yeah, I should, sir, I know what you're saying, and like I say, we're at the mercy of the engineers. You know, they inspect it, and when they free it, and we pay the bill, it's supposed to be done right. And you know, I don't have I don't have the degree to say whether that's right or wrong. But if it starts coming up that it's, you know, if we have a problem, then we need to look at that then.
East Lake Road was paved here 2 years ago in front of Ricardo's, all right?
You're right.
There's potholes there a year later. Now we're paying for this material that isn't working?
Apparently, yeah,
I mean, that's why you need a warranty.
I'm trying to think, it seems like, maybe I would have to talk to a state engineer and see if they, get our specs and their specs and see if they're a little different.
Yeah, but because technically that is Route 5.
Right.
That's state highway.
But
That's a state.
Yeah, that is state.
Yeah, it's
That's
Route
right.
5, yeah.
Although, let me think,
Ricardo's.
I think we traded East Lake Road.
You know.
We take care of that now. They took the Bayfront, we got East Lake Road, I believe.
Oh, did you? So,
Go ahead, caller, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Right. Well, I would appreciate if someone would look into this because it seems that we're paying for stuff that's not working.
Well, I can tell you on East Lake Road, not East Lake Road, East Avenue from 28th to 38th, the problem there was they used a micro coating, which the council at the time was warned about it, that, they weren't sure about what they were going to get out of it. That was like a half a coat of asphalt.
East Avenue is awful.
Yeah, it's like
really bad. I travel it often, and it is very bad.
I checked with my daughter. Even Minnesota's getting like a lot of potholes this year, which is unusual for them, but it's still no excuse that maybe, I don't know, it could have to do with what's underneath the base too.
Well, they have
maybe the base hasn't been done right.
I mean, where else does it freeze and thaw, in the country like it does here?
See, it might not be the road. It might be something's getting in underneath the road somewhere else.
Yeah.
It could be the base. It's not.
How
Right.
thick is it, though?
Well,
That was 4 inches before, now they cut down to 2 inches.
you found out that when they built I-90, some people went to jail for that almost.
Right.
Some did, I think, because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Put the money in the pocket.
Anything else, sir?
Oh, but I wish someone would look into it because it definitely there's something wrong.
I will bring it up next council meeting when we have our study session.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Who's that?
Pete Petriani.
Yeah, we do have specs and we do, we do have specs and everything,
Hey, you looking for a job?
No, maybe he can answer our question, though.
There you go.
There you go.
He took care of the streets.
Yeah, you wouldn't if anybody knows.
Yeah.
If you don't know, we're in trouble. But once we could talk about PennDOT trying to take over the plowing of the city streets.
Well, now, there's a good one, okay? I have mixed emotions. And I know a lot of people say they like the present arrangement. Now,
Well, I know they are currently there down there. The union officials are down there meeting with the state officials trying to get what that would be 6th Street, 12th Street,
well, I'm not sure, but no,
26th.
Well, right now, 6th Street is our baby, but they handle the Bayfront.
They want them all.
We made a switch, okay?
Right,
Well, they can only get state highways, okay?
right.
So, being the fact that, it depends how they negotiate it. For sure, they would pick up, right now, we get paid to do all the state highways.
How much do we get paid to do that? Do you know offhand?
It varies from, they adjust it year by year, and it gets changed every 3 or 4 years as a new contract comes out, an agreement, you sign it.
Right.
And it goes for a lot of things. It goes for, for paint on the roads and
Right.
whatever we do, we do for them, okay? It takes care of that. They do some of the, that's why you see them patching the roads.
Right.
If we have to, we get,
So figure if they take them all, that would be 6th, 12th,
well, it'd be for sure, it'd be like
26th?
Pine Avenue,
Pine Avenue, State Street,
East Lake Road.
Peach.
Yep.
Those would all be off the hook for the city. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing, to be honest
Well,
with you.
I think what the worrying is, go ahead, caller.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon, Kaz. Good afternoon.
How you
Kaz,
been?
You coming with the delinquent water payers?
Yeah, what about them?
How are we coming with the collections?
Jessica is going to have an up-to-date report for us at the next council meeting.
Uh-huh.
She's going to bring council up to date on the latest figures from Paul Wojtek. From what we understand, it brought a lot of people to the table making agreements. Some were actually, paid them up, but a lot of them have made agreements, and that's what we wanted to see, because the next step will be they have a couple guys that are going to be cranking pretty much all day long once they get the word that the water's turned off. So, I mean, I think it's progressing well. You know, you got to remember that's a floating number, though, because as we collect old ones, new people go on the list also.
Yeah, that's true.
But the thing we want to see is we don't want to see it increase. We want to see it decrease at an increasing rate. That's an old accounting term. Meaning we want to see it go down faster than it's increasing going upward. So I think we're seeing that, and I think the fact that this council finally got everybody in agreement that it was time we did something more than just sit there and, say, we can't do nothing, so.
Well, that's nice to hear. That's good here. That's a good positive note for the city.
Well, I think once the mayor saw that council was serious and, everybody got together and we found a way to make it happen, worked hard to it. A lot of people thought, this is going on a year, what are they waiting for? It's not an easy thing because we wanted to make sure the I's were dotted, the T's were crossed, because at the end of the day, we had to make sure we could do it legally. And that's why we had to separate the bills so that the water department was protected on their end, and sewer and the part that belongs to the city was on the other side. And then we separated garbage so that by tying it in with the sewer rate, if you don't pay your sewer, you don't pay your water, you get turned off.
That's right. Now these collections, will they have anything to do to reduce the water and the sewer bill?
I don't know if it'll reduce it, but it'll help keeping them from going up. There's no guarantee like when you deal with water, you're dealing with, and I saw this as controller, you get new chemicals coming in, they go up the cost of that. You have negotiated salary increases.
I know everything goes up, Kevin, but
there's
a lot of people that, that's a hardship there, boy.
I agree with you, but, and like I told people, I said, we discuss it here, until we get people to, the biggest issue I see, and we got a revenue problem more than we do an expense problem. We've tried to cut back the best way we can, but the real problem is when you look at, John made the statement here, 60% of the people are paying 100% of the bill. So you got, 40% of the people are tax exempt, and it's passing on to those 60%. Plus you got people that are leaving the city. The people that got the wealth and the means to leave the city are leaving it. And what do we got? We're left with renters. We're left with college students. We're left with, I'm not saying these are bad things, but we don't have the middle class worker anymore moving to the city. We don't have it.
Well, all over the country we're losing the middle class.
Yeah, and that's the problem. When you go out to, you take a ride out to Harbor Creek or Milk Creek, and everything looks nice and great, and everybody's happy. Every time they turn around, they got a new groundbreaking. What do we get? We get a groundbreaking. We got a building that reopens with a restaurant that the other one closed. Or God help Tim Hortons for putting 2 or 3 stores in here. But outside of that, we don't get a lot of the new grocery chain. You don't see Wegmans coming here. You don't see anybody else coming. It's the same old, same old.
You got to get the mayor to come out of his hiding place up at the 5th floor.
Well, I think not only, and I said this, I'm not afraid to say this, we got economic development people that need to get out of the office and start finding out why. I talk to other communities, and they're out there. Even my parish priest went after Applebee's. If he had a classmate, he went after him and said, why don't you put an Applebee's in Erie on East 38th? My parishioners would love to see that. Well, they decided not to. They opened up in Harbor Creek, one block over the Harbor Creek line. Mm-hmm. Now, you look at a place like the Breakfast Place that opened up a brand new place, they're doing booming business. Right. I can't say, I don't know how she's doing economically, but, there's a lot of people going there. So we're not going after them. Where do they think the people that work every day, or even the people that are, just the seniors, where do they think we go to shop? We got to convince people to start building in Erie, not that Peach Street's a golden mecca and that's the only place it's going to be.
Well, see, that's where you have the Erie Growth and Chamber, those different, you guys.
But they're tooting, call them up sometime, okay? Call them up from out of town with an out of town number.
Where did they?
Tell them you want to move here. Now, they've probably changed, but 20 years ago when my father-in-law was thinking about moving, he called up Erie and they told him, you don't want to live in the city, we'll get you a house out in Mill Creek. And that was wrong. Whoever did that, they should have been fired.
Who was in charge of bringing economic development to the city? I'm not talking, restaurants. I'm talking like
Outside the city.
outside,
Bob Plain, remember?
family sustaining wages,
Are you still-
manufacturing
you still
of
there,
some
sir?
sort.
Yeah, I'm listening
Okay.
to you. It sounds good.
Okay, there's a good question, John. I always said we got like a shotgun approach. We're firing pellets all over the place, where these 5 or 6 agencies, whoever they are, they need to be like a rifle firing. Like, there's
How much do you guys give them? Do you know how much do you guys give the chamber, and what else is there?
I should have
Visit Erie.
I should have brought the budget
Probably
down.
pretty good money.
Yeah, I mean, they should all be standing at that
Remind me to
podium.
bring the budget next time.
They should be standing at that podium.
Council's doing a pretty good job. I mean, they can only do so much. If you don't have the money, how you going to entice anybody to come in?
Well, I think you got to, sometimes you got to ask people. Here's a good question.
Investors will bring their money.
Yep, you got to go out there and find. There's people out there. Here was a good one. Years ago, I was on the school board, and maybe you heard this name, Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson came to speak, and he was touting the fact that he owned 2 projects, all minority owned. One was movie theaters, and the other one was Starbucks coffee. And he said, all you got to do is call my office in L.A., and we will look at the situation. We will try to find you minority ownership, and we'll open up, a movie theater or coffee shop after we do a study. But nobody ever called him. So, I mean, this is the type of thing if you got people out there that want to invest, maybe they say no, but you at least got to go out and meet them halfway and say, I always say this, when I go to a place, I remember I asked somebody like Joe's Crab Shack, I said, who's your marketing department?
Sure tagged him on the roads. He was the main man.
It's just unfortunate. I mean, do you have the growth, the chamber? They should be out attracting, instead of going to a trade show with a table and saying we need to be more aggressive, and they need to come and report to the council as to what they're doing, where they're doing it, when they're doing it, and how they're doing it, or else cut their funding. You guys, there needs to be some type of accountability. The biggest thing that we have going is we open up a new ice cream joint.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
big deal. That's $9-10 an hour.
When Ruby made that comment that she called Walmart, it doesn't hurt. If somebody calls somebody and says, hey, have you looked at our market? What can they say? Yeah. They can say no, or they can say, hey, we're looking at it, you don't meet our criteria. But we got to get more than, the only things I've seen lately is an O'Reilly Auto Parts, Tim Hortons has been good. We're not getting a lot of new businesses, that are building and stuff.
I know we need to start offering manufacturing something. We need to, it's a really tough situation. I get that, but those folks that are in charge of bringing, that you guys are paying, they need to come here and say to you, this is what we're doing. This is the plan. What is their plan?
I don't know.
Nobody even knows what their plan is.
And we should never allow a company that's here to leave without first finding out what we did wrong,
Well, don't you guys have a small development loan, business loan through the city?
Yeah, we do. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. What's that Mr. Roach do?
Who?
Roach.
Oh, Rao? Jake Rao?
Yeah. What's he do?
Is he with manufacturing?
No, he moves around.
No, that's Ralph Pontillo.
Yeah.
Jake Rao, does he still got it?
I think he was with, what's her name is with the growth. She heads the growth up. What is her name? I can't remember her name offhand.
Kim Green?
No, Kim Green's with the city.
She's with the city. We know what, we're going to have to find out where Jake is if he's still...
Right.
I haven't heard from him for a long time.
No, they all do a nice job, but sometimes I think they're all aiming... They need to be aiming at one target, a target at a time, like they taught us in the Army, take out the closest target. we need to start going after some businesses like,
They need to go out and
Just-
bring
just
them
ask
here.
them.
Absolutely. Instead of us sitting back and waiting and hoping and going to a trade show, I met a guy who was he's the president of Mercyhurst Northeast. He was involved with the group from Findlay, New York. And they went out and attracted, I want to say it was Saturn or and a couple other businesses to Findlay, New York. And what they did, they had somebody from economic development, they had education, they had somebody they had a team of 5 people. And they went over there and sat down and talked to them and said, this is what we have, come over here. And it's not, I mean, we have to be more aggressive.
well, you know, if you ever read about Buffalo, how they got Southwest Airlines.
You should take a little tip from that guy from Cleveland.
Who's that?
There's a real hustler, the guy from Cleveland, the governor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby, he moves faster than the speeding bullet, that guy.
Well, you know what? That's what we have to remember. We're in competition.
How about the governor?
other states.
How about the governor of Florida came up to Pennsylvania to try to steal our businesses and relocate them down there? You heard about that,
That's a
right?
governor you got to love.
You know,
Not from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to, thank him or choke him.
Well, that should be a wake-up
Yeah,
call.
I mean, that's another problem in this country. Our states we're fighting against each other for businesses. The states are.
Well, sure they are.
And they have this different tax systems.
We almost lost Hershey Foods in Pennsylvania.
If anything, our tax system should be twice as friendly as Texas and Florida and all these other places because of the weather. If anything, we should be we should be more business friendly, not to the point where their governors and mayors are coming here to publicly steal our businesses and move them down there.
Just to tell you, sir, I talked to a couple developers in Erie one time, and they filled me in that there's some things that we'll never get. We're just not big enough, but there's a lot of things that when you read about these upstart franchises, we got to take care of the people in town too. We should, like which city has a loan program, a couple of our...
Listen, I don't want to tie you up anymore.
Okay.
Somebody else should try to call you, but just try to, keep things rolling, and maybe we'll get lucky along the line.
Yeah, we got to start changing the way we do things, because...
Yeah, you just keep on doing what you're doing on the council, guys. You're doing a fairly good job.
Well, I think we got some council now. This council is starting to think more about. We got to start changing the way we've done business in the past, I think.
Yep, you got to get in the new century here.
Yeah, I want to see some new things downtown.
There's 3 new
and around the city.
All right,
3
good.
council spots open up there for the next
All right,
election.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You running?
Good luck.
No.
It's sad. Like I talked to, there's a lot of things out there that we got to find out, like, why does a store like even Wegmans not even think about coming here?
Well, I know the downtown improvement district plan, they had 10 years ago. It said we needed a drugstore, we needed a supermarket, we needed a fresh deli place, different fresh produce.
There may be good news opening up about the grocery store.
About Grandview.
Go ahead, caller.
No, Kaz, Jake Rouch is
Yeah, where is he?
the regional chamber.
Oh, okay.
And I remember he came before city council to justify whatever amount of money the city gives to the regional chamber.
Yeah.
And when they did ask some questions, he said he couldn't elaborate because the information is confidential.
Yeah, that's what I heard that's what I heard about the railroad siding too.
Yeah, confidential, so he couldn't talk about what he's doing.
Well, you know what you do? You say, here's how you counteract that.
Yeah.
And we are elected officials.
Yep.
If we are held to a confidential item and we squeal, our political career is not only in the line, but we could probably be prosecuted, okay?
Yeah.
So I don't buy that crap, because you know what? You're going to come to us at some point in time, and then we're going to have an executive session. So just tell us what you're working on and say, you know what? This has got to be kept under the...
Oh, yeah.
Because don't tell me they don't talk to the mayor once in a while in privacy and say, hey, keep it under hat. You know what? We're elected officials. And, we represent the people. If you tell us, okay, look, we're sensitive discussion.
Right.
And this happened when I was on the, when I was on the school board. We were negotiating for a piece of property. and you just held it under because you weren't, you didn't want to, if you put it out there, you screw up the deal, okay? That's permissible under law. But you know what? To say that, here's what I would tell them then. Well, you know what? When you feel like, you can tell us something, then we feel like we can give you the money.
Yeah.
That's what you want our money, then keep us filled in on something.
You just have to be more proactive.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of just here's the blank check, what are you doing with? I mean, every business, every organization should have goals. I mean, what is the goal? What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals?
If you listen to
I haven't heard any of them.
Have you ever listened to Brian McGrath?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, I have.
Well, I mean, no, but I mean, I've listened to Brian and Joe Kuyawa, over the years, right? And they were always quiet. They'd go, well, we got something coming in, but we can't tell you yet. That means somebody told them, okay?
Right.
So when somebody like Mr. Rao or somebody says, well, I can't tell you, it's secret. You know what, then guess what? We can't give you any money, it's secret too.
Absolutely.
Because we're not going to go out there and tell the public, well, you're bringing in Costco into the city of Erie or something.
Right.
But I'm sure in Mill Creek, if you listen to Brian and those guys,
I mean,
they got an idea that, don't let it leak, but, until the timing's right.
What are the strategies?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to keep...
Yeah, what can we do to help you? Okay.
Yeah. What are the strategies, at least? Let the public know what your strategies are. I mean, are you being proactive and going out, or you're just going to shows and standing behind the booth? What are you doing to bring family sustainable jobs to the community? And just explain it.
I'd say, I think I'm always in favor of my approach. I remember I was stuck on an airplane with a guy from, I think it was Pizza Hut. One of those restaurant chains, and I was talking to him. I said, well, how come you never come to Erie? And he goes, well, we've actually looked at the city. We can't find any land or anything that's, meets our criteria. Now, there's a perfect thing. There's a link, right? You talk to someone, you say, well, you know what, let me get back to you. And you talk to people in our office, like Dave Deere when he was here, and you say, hey, is there anything, do you have anything that's opening up? Anybody we can, Rick Griffith got a piece of property, Scott got one. You know what I'm saying, Rich?
Yeah, I do.
Hey, I mean, that's contact. You go out there and you say, hey, why don't you want to come here? Tell me straight out. What's the bottom line,
Kaz, last year I ran into somebody. He was a real estate salesman in the Buffalo, New York area. And he said, hey, I'm just overwhelmed. I mean, Buffalo's going crazy. And you know why they're going crazy? They're building, I think, the biggest solar panel manufacturing place in the United States up there near Buffalo somewhere.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
You see what Jamestown doing? They want to have the Lucille Ball Museum and all that?
Yeah, and what else they did down there is Cummins or whoever builds the motors down there, they're adding an assembly line and some other work down there.
Where, Jamestown?
In Jamestown, yeah. They build engines, some kind of diesel engines or something. But they a few months ago that was in the news that they're adding another line somewhere, adding 50 employees.
How about this comment? I was with a governor candidate, and I was out at one of the predominant areas out on Peach Street, nice hotel area.
Yeah.
And the candidate was talking about how his town had, come around, and he was touting the fact that the steel that was going to his city was coming out of Amthor Steel.
Okay. Yeah.
He was saying, just look at that. Look at that little company, Amthor Steel, that's shipping steel to Penn State, to Allentown, to I've seen it down to Pittsburgh. Shipping tons of steel out of here. One of the best kept secrets in Erie.
Here's what it says.
These are the guys you got to work with. And then it came down to the fact that when it was my turn to talk, I said, I'm always amazed that a man like Nick Scott, who was sitting about 3 tables away, I always wondered why he never built in the city here. I just wondered if anybody ever contacted him.
Yeah.
And the truth was nobody ever did. And here we are sitting on the cusp of a huge project, and nobody ever took the time years back to talk to him.
He's waiting for that cruise money.
Yeah, but even before, he had businesses in Erie.
Don kind of talked about a little bit.
Criz is not, the Criz will no longer be in existence. I've heard that from some very,
I checked last night. It's still alive.
Yeah.
it's not going to be for long. You got to remember, the state is Republican.
Yeah.
The GOP runs the state. When they passed out the Criz money last time, or the whatever comes along with it, that's because they wanted to see Tom Corbett get reelected. Now Tom Corbett is gone, and the people from the DCED, the economic development, are saying that there will be no more Criz. I mean, hopefully I'm wrong.
My source said it's going to be a battle, but it's still got breath in it yet. But it's going to be a battle.
Well, Sean Wiley's fighting for it.
Somebody wants to call. I don't want to gobble up all your time.
Okay.
It's according to the Growth Chamber, it says the Economic Development Division's initiatives focus on direct business assistance, business-to-business connections, forecasting job demand, and training and attracting new businesses to the region.
Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller.
What have they done of that?
Hello?
It's a sunny day out there.
Yes, it is.
Hey, I don't know who put those things on the 2 fire hydrants up on my side of town. I don't know if it was the water department or the fire department, but they do have a bunch of them up.
You mean those little poles like?
There's a white pole with like a red frisbee on top showing that there's a fire hydrant.
I had a brief talk with the chief, and I was going to sit down with him a little bit longer to find out, what the reason was why we didn't have them.
Well, there's a couple of them out there, and,
We'll have to find out who put them up.
I was trying to do a little research, but I couldn't get through to the deputy chief. All I got was his answering machine.
Yep.
And the garbage is out today, but I went to Jill Beck, and she got a hold of Andy Zimmerman, and they got their fingers involved in it, and now they're going to be watching it.
I had a couple calls a couple days ago on the other side of town, and Andy's department took care of that real quick. So I told him, I said, I'm going to give you another couple addresses. I'm going to wait and see if they do it again, and I'm glad you called in, John.
Well, they jumped right on it. She jumped right on it real quick, and Andy jumped on it, and we found out who was managing it.
Yeah, I heard there's a renewed effort by the administration that, starting to get to be, it's not an isolated problem no more. It's getting to be a little bit too much.
There's 10 units there.
No, I mean, it's all over town now, it's starting.
Well, one manager gets away with it, then they all get away with it.
Well, I said this, when you go around town, if your neighbor gets away with it, and you say, hey, what the hell, I'll put my couch out, and what the heck,
Well, when you put your garbage out a week in advance, and it's blowing all over 38th Street, now the snow is melting.
Not only that, what if there's not garbage in there, but edible garbage?
You get little rodents, and kids are walking up and down there by the school. Some kid's going to get bit.
Yep.
I'm glad the mayor is going for that sewer bond, because it's going to put the outlying areas to have them pay on the bond, seeing council doesn't have the brass to renew all the sewage coming in.
Well, actually, you mean the agreements?
Yes, to change the agreement.
Well, there is talk that that had been brought up. I brought it up myself during last year, towards budgets and all that.
No.
And we were cautioned that those agreements.
When you get cautioned by the city solicitor that doesn't seem to do anything.
Well, we were even cautioned by the sewer authority because they claim that, and, I can understand a little bit that once you go in there, you open up the box and, you never know what's going to happen. But I got a belief that.
Well, with all the sewage coming in from Summit, all the sewage coming in from Harbor Creek, to be increased.
Yeah, we're talking about. There is talk now about we may go and look into it. I know I can't speak for everybody. There are some council members, including myself, that are in favor of opening up the agreement and looking at it.
Well, sure you should look at it.
Absolutely.
The whole thing here is these outlying areas, they've got a rate that was set back in 1970.
Yeah. Now, I do know Mill Creek cleaned up some of their problem. That we've been told that their usage is down, but that doesn't mean everybody's down.
No, their usage might be down, but you got Summit that's building like crazy out
Right.
there.
Oh,
River Creek's building like crazy.
I was kind of pleased with Mr. What's his name? Pat Howard's column. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was on point. I don't think it released us from.
There's all kinds of
From our
money
job,
going
but-
into the general fund that shouldn't be.
Like what, John?
Well, like they say that you're taking money from the bond issue and putting it into the general fund, $1 million here, $1 million there.
Well, the sewer money, that's separate. That's a sewer fund.
Right.
Okay, if you're talking about the bond issue for pavement, is that what you're talking about?
No. I'm talking about all the money that's put into the general funds, like from the fuel liquids.
No, liquid fuel is separately accounted for.
But
That does not go. The state would have our head because they come in. They have a separate division that audits the liquid fuels.
Who's the gentleman that does the liquid fuel auditing? He's a councilman.
Yes, he works for that department.
That's true. So, one hand takes care of the other, and, the whole thing.
But my point is, though, you can't commingle it. Here was another example. Do you remember when we charge above 1% for the income tax?
Yeah.
We still are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that money cannot be put in the general budget. The 1% can, okay, but not the percentage above 1%. That has to go to pension-related issues.
True, but a general budget or general fund, you should have everything down line item by line item, X amount of dollars audited and put aside for this purpose, for that purpose.
What do you mean? And we do have that.
Yeah, but how come all this extra money goes into the general fund?
What extra money, John?
When you have extra money from one department, it goes into the general fund if they don't use it all.
Well, wait a minute. Give me an example.
Let's say for office supplies.
What department, though?
You can go all the departments.
Okay, here's what you got to understand. In the general budget, with the exception of golf, sewer, water, I'm trying to think what else, risk management, but most of the offices, like if you're going to talk about, let's say, human relations, okay?
Yeah.
And let's say, let's pick another department, finance, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, within a department, you can move money from one account to another, but you have limits, okay?
True.
There are limits by ordinance, how much you can transfer, what percentage or what total. And okay, that's within your department, but that does not include payroll, okay? You cannot take money out of payroll and transfer it. Council has to vote on that, but if you want to take, like, say, office supplies and move it over to general supplies or education or transfer or communications within your department, you can do that. Now, if you go across from one department to another, that has to have the okay of council.
A majority or a 6-vote?
Majority council.
Oh, well.
But here's the thing, John. You're not really. All you're doing is you're saying.
You're shuffling money from one place to the other.
Yeah, when we vote on the budget, we vote on the general budget and all the other funds. There are other funds besides the general fund.
True, but
Okay? Everybody looks at the general fund. So the general fund that's pretty much, the big take-it-all one.
I
But
don't know how the mayor came up with a balanced budget this year when he knew he was going to be $5 million in the red.
well, he warned us, and you know what? Nobody had the willpower to raise taxes.
Well, and why did everybody accept his budget then?
Well, you know what? It's just like, reluctantly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, it was out there. I mean, it was out there publicly that we were going to be in trouble.
That's true.
But if you want to see a good document, I can get you one. I'll get you the CAFRA. That's the one you'll like to read.
Yeah.
That's the one that.
How much money do we have in the water reserve?
Oh, man, I was supposed to find out for you.
Well, I'll pull it up on the computer.
They should have it in there.
Oh, Okay, have a great day. But whoever put those couple of things out, let's hope they do it next winter.
I said I talked to the chief real quick, but
To say there's one on.
he didn't say like he was one way or the other which way it was going, but
There's one on Grandview and Fargo, and there's one down below on 42nd and Fargo.
I don't think they're a bad idea, really.
No, but the one down below on Lower Fargo got hit already. Of course, that might have been with the snow or whatever, but the one on Grandview, you can see them and they stand out.
Yeah. Hey, hang on a minute, John.
Sure.
Hey, John wanted a question answered. We almost went by him.
What was that?
He was talking about, the state wants to take over the plowing.
The union guys are down in Harrisburg trying to renegotiate so that they could take, Route 5, Route 20 and State Street 98 and all those back to where they would plow the streets and the city wouldn't get the money that the state gives to us, so that would take more money out of our...
Well, what it would be it would also relieve the... you remember, we have to plow those streets, so if they take care of it...
I don't think the state would do a good job.
I don't think the state's going to do it because of their...
Here's the reason I like it, John. This is a good time to negotiate. I don't think the amount of money they give us is adequate. Okay? I've never believed that figure was right. They like it,
Well, sure, because they don't have to come down all the way in town. They just go to the break-off points.
Now, I'm not debating. Our guys do a great job. No debate about that.
They do a great job.
But because they're stuck on that street for so long, they don't get to our side streets.
Right.
They get to the side streets when plausible. You can't do those side streets the way the people are parking.
No, but here's the thing, John. If you take, like, where you and I live, okay, Center City's a whole different issue, correct?
That's true.
But, where you and I live is like living in Mill Creek. There's people got driveways.
Right.
And if you look at like Mill Creek, they got the side roads done, and then they may go back and help the state on the bigger roads, but the state has done the majority of the work on there.
I mean,
our guys are still on 38th Street having to clear that road.
It's got its pros and cons.
Yeah, it does.
If you have somebody that isn't constantly on that hill on 26th and State, look out.
I know, but
it's going to be bad.
This is where we have to argue, but we should argue for more money.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you right now, with the state legislature being Republican, they're not going to go for it because it's going to. If it costs the state more money for the unions to take over the roads, and they're not going to do it first because the Republican-Democrat thing for one thing.
Plow drivers do a great job in these hills.
They do, but I'd like to see either more money or so we can we can't do I just want to see more money come to our way. I don't think the contracts are the greatest thing,
No, that's true.
I don't think it's going to
The
happen.
state gets away with it. They don't have to salt it. They're not.
Well, we have to consent to it, and we did, so.
So, but other than that, the guys did a good job this year. Of course, the Parks Department are going to have to go out and do a lot of repairing.
Yeah,
all the stuff they've got torn up. But
this has been a bad winter everywhere.
Boulevards.
But the whole thing here is, if those people on these hills would put their cars in their driveways, they park them strategically so the plows don't have that empty spot to put the snow in their driveway.
I know the neighbors have bugged us, and if we can get enough council members to agree to it, I think we need to look at what we're going to do about future issues concerning plowing and snow and
we have to start issuing permits for everybody.
And even the newspaper's in favor of that. You can't have people like we had a lot of students that sit there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, don't move their car. It's got to be moved now.
Well, you call the parking authority and they come out and chalk them. If they haven't been moved in 72 hours, they'll tell them. But we got to get something quicker than 72 hours.
Well, I agree with you. I think we have to be willing to use the emergency designation when it's just for like a few hours to clear the streets.
They didn't. I live on a major street in the city, and they did not post at one time for plowing. And what happened was one day there was a few cars on my block, so I called the city. I said, "Hey," can you send a plow by here? I'll have somebody there's a couple cars, so I went to my neighbors, I'll have them move it. He said, actually, sir, there is somebody in the neighborhood, I'll have them sent over. I said, thank you. So I went, knocked on a couple doors and said, hey, the plows are coming by in a little bit, move your car. So they moved their car, and the plow never came by. And it
that's not
froze. And then what happened is it froze. And you couldn't plow it anymore because it was just solid ice for the rest of the winter, and it ripped my car up.
We do have a couple of graders that can get down there, but you got to get an operator and get them out there and using it.
There you go.
Have a great day.
Yep, and we have to leave
Yeah,
because we're up here.
we are, I think we've been done
I
for a
want to
while.
thank Ron and my good friend John.
Thanks for having us.
And with that, we say goodbye.
Sign off.
You come back again sometime?
Well, my son got out.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.